There's something powerful about silence. In a world that constantly demands noise, opinions, reactions, explanations, choosing silence is often misunderstood. People may think if you're quiet, you have nothing to say, or worse, that you're unsure of yourself. But the truth is, staying silent doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're lost. In fact, it means quite the opposite. It means you're focused. It means you're grounded. And it means you're in control. See, when you stay silent and focus on your work, you're not just avoiding unnecessary talk, you're preserving your energy. You're not wasting it trying to impress others or prove your worth. You're directing it inward toward your vision, your discipline, your goals. You're working on building something solid, something real. And the people who truly win in life are the ones who do just that. They're the quiet builders, the ones who don't need to broadcast every move. They're not performing for an audience. They're building something far more important than applause. They're building results. Too often we fall into the trap of speaking too soon. We announce our plans before they're even formed. We talk about our goals before we've taken the first step toward them. We look for validation in the eyes of others when the only real validation we need comes from showing up and doing the work. The truth is, if you tell people what you're about to do, they might doubt you. They might discourage you. Worse, they might steal your energy just by planting seeds of fear and uncertainty in your mind. But if you stay silent and move in purpose, no one can derail what they don't see coming. You see, silence is a shield. It protects your focus. It guards your mission. When you stop speaking and start building, something changes. You begin to move with more purpose. You start to measure your days not by how much you said or posted or shared, but by how much you actually did. And that's where power comes from. Quiet, consistent, determined effort. The most successful people in the world, the ones who achieve great things and sustain them, they don't shout their intentions. They study, they prepare, they move strategically, they work in silence until their success becomes the announcement. They don't compete with noise because they know real value doesn't compete, it creates. And creation doesn't happen in chaos, it happens in focus, in stillness, in silence. When you embrace silence, you're not just protecting your energy from others. You're aligning yourself with your higher purpose. You stop chasing quick attention and start planting seeds that take time, effort, and patience to grow. You realize that applause is temporary, but fulfillment, that deep, lasting kind of fulfillment that comes from doing the work, not talking about it. There is a stillness and silence that allows you to hear yourself think, and in those moments clarity comes. You begin to realize what really matters. You begin to recognize what deserves your time and what doesn't. You begin to respect your vision enough to guard it. You begin to trust that the world doesn't need to see your process to believe in your outcome, because it's not their belief that matters, it's yours. Now, I'm not saying you should never speak. There's a time to speak, a time to lead, a time to share your truth. But most people have that part backwards. They talk during the building phase when they should be working. They explain themselves to people who haven't earned a seat at their table. They give away their ideas, their energy, their confidence for free, and often to the wrong audience. Silence teaches you patience. It teaches you to value your own journey enough to keep it sacred until it's ready to be shared. When you stay silent and focus on your work, you shift the attention from what you're saying to what you're doing. And action, that's where the truth is. People can argue your words. They can debate your intentions. But they cannot deny your results. They cannot ignore what you've built when it's standing tall in front of them. Let that be the voice. Let your work become the message. Stay silent. Focus on your work. Let your success be the only thing that needs to speak. ChatGPT said discipline is the doorway to everything you're trying to build. And yet, most people miss it not because they don't want it, but because they can't hear it over the noise. The world is loud. It's filled with distractions disguised as opportunities. Everyone is trying to be seen, trying to be heard, trying to be relevant. But here's what most people don't realize. Every time you respond to that noise, you're giving away a piece of your focus. And when your focus is gone, so is your power. You've got to make a decision to choose discipline over distraction. It's not a flashy decision. It won't make headlines. No one's going to applaud you for turning off your phone, walking away from meaningless conversations, or saying no to a party so you can stay home and build your dream. But that's exactly where transformation happens. That's where the future is made, in those quiet, lonely choices that no one else sees. Distraction doesn't always look like chaos. Sometimes it looks like comfort. It looks like scrolling through your feed when you said you'd work. It looks like gossip that keeps you feeling connected, even if it's empty. It looks like talking about other people instead of working on yourself. And every time you fall into those little distractions, you drift further from the person you're meant to become. Discipline doesn't ask for your feelings. It asks for your decision. There will be days you don't feel like showing up, days when it's easier to talk than to act. But if you want something real, something that lasts, you don't chase what's easy, you choose what's necessary. And what's necessary is often quiet. It's often lonely. It's often hard. But it's always worth it. You see, the people who win long term are not the loudest in the room. They're the ones who keep showing up when no one is watching. They don't need the crowd to validate their grind. They don't need likes, views, or comments to feel like they're making progress. They're not chasing moments, they're building a legacy. And that kind of work requires a different kind of mindset. A mindset rooted in discipline. A mindset that doesn't flinch when distractions call your name. A mindset that stays locked in, even when the rest of the world is spinning. The difference between a person who talks about goals and one who achieves them is this. One is distracted by everything. The other is disciplined about one thing. The one who achieves knows what they're after. They've made peace with the fact that they'll miss out on certain things now to gain everything later. That's the trade, that's the cost. And if you're not willing to pay it, you can't expect to reach the destination. Most people never get there because they keep waiting for the perfect time to focus. But there is no perfect time. There is only now, this moment. And every time you delay, every time you choose comfort over commitment, you're telling your future self you're not important enough yet. But if you can silence the noise, block out the distractions, and tune into your purpose, you begin to see the difference. You begin to feel the shift. Discipline becomes a way of life. It's not just about routines, it's about respect. Respect for your time, your gift, your vision. You stop letting the world dictate your pace. You start moving with intention. You stop explaining yourself to people who will never understand your path. You stop living for temporary attention and start living for lasting impact. When you stay disciplined, your confidence changes. Not because someone told you you're doing well, but because you know you're doing the work. You don't need external validation because you've built internal certainty. And nothing can shake a person who's rooted in that kind of conviction. It's easy to blend in. It's easy to get swept up in the noise, to be reactive and intentional. But easy never built anything that mattered. Easy never changed the world. Easy never fulfilled a calling. Discipline did. Focus did. Silent work day after day did. You want to win? Then stop giving your time and energy to everything that doesn't move you forward. Stop trying to please people who don't understand your vision. Stop reacting to everything that doesn't deserve your response. Your mission is too important. Your time is too valuable. And your future is too big to be traded for cheap distractions. Choose discipline. Not just once, but daily. Choose it when it's hard. Choose it when no one's watching. Choose it when every part of you wants to quit. Because on the other side of that choice is the life you've been trying to build. Stay silent. Focus on your work. Let your discipline speak for you. There is a sacred power in protecting your vision. The moment you receive a dream, a goal, an idea that stirs your spirit, it becomes your responsibility to guard it. Not share it with the world too soon. Not ask others to validate it, but to protect it like a seed before it's ready to grow. Too many people expose their vision to the wrong environment. They speak too early. They share with people who can't see what they see, and in doing so they let doubt, jealousy, fear, and negativity creep in and choke the very thing they were trying to build. When you stay silent and focus on your work, you are not just choosing discipline, you are choosing protection. You are protecting your energy, your clarity, your momentum. You are choosing to move forward without the weight of outside opinions, because not everyone will understand your path, and they don't need to. Not everyone is meant to walk it with you, and that's not rejection, it's wisdom. The truth is, people tend to judge what they don't understand. They will laugh at what they can't imagine, and if you give them access to your vision too early, they might discourage you not because they're right, but because they're limited by their own perspective. Their fear becomes your fear, their doubt becomes your delay, and all of a sudden your dream no longer feels possible, not because it isn't, but because you let the wrong voices in. So protect your energy. Not everyone deserves to know your next move. Not every opportunity needs to be announced. You are not in a race for attention. You are in a journey of purpose. And the more private you keep your process, the more peace you will have along the way. Peace to think clearly. Peace to work deeply. Peace to trust your own voice without the noise of the crowd. You see, when you guard your vision, you give it room to grow. You give it time to mature. You allow it to develop strength in silence, away from the distractions and demands of the world. There is wisdom in that. Some of the most powerful transformations happen in the dark, far from the spotlight. The roots grow before the fruit shows. The foundation is laid before the house ever rises. That's how real growth works. It begins in quiet places. Don't be afraid to keep your goals to yourself. Don't feel pressured to explain your process. You don't owe anyone a presentation. You owe yourself a result. And that result requires solitude. It requires silence. It requires your full attention, not scattered by opinions, not shaken by criticism. Just focused, just steady, just committed. There will always be voices around you, some cheering, some doubting, some distracting. But the only voice that truly matters is the one inside you, the one that knows where you're going, the one that remembers why you started, the one that says, keep going, even when no one else sees what you're working on. You have to protect that voice, nurture it, feed it with truth, with discipline, with progress. Because if you lose that inner voice, if you trade it for applause, for attention, for acceptance, you'll lose your way. And what's the point of being heard by the world if you can no longer hear yourself? Every day you're given a choice: reveal or protect, distract or focus, perform or build. The ones who rise are the ones who understand that true power comes from moving in silence, from building without boasting, from letting the work speak when the time is right. Because when your vision is protected, your work becomes sacred, it becomes unstoppable. You're not missing out by staying quiet. You're setting yourself apart. You're choosing longevity over likes, purpose over praise, mastery over momentum. And one day when your work is complete, when your dream is standing strong for the world to see, they won't remember the silence. They'll remember the impact. So protect your energy, protect your vision, move with purpose, and let the work speak in time. Stay silent. Focus on your work. Guard your vision like your future depends on it, because it does. Growth doesn't happen in the spotlight. It doesn't come with applause or celebration. Real growth, the kind that changes who you are, that strengthens you from the inside out, it happens in the quiet. It happens when no one's watching. It happens in stillness, in the early hours before the world wakes up, in the late nights when everyone else has given up and gone to bed. It happens when you stop trying to be seen and you start trying to become. See, people are often in a rush to bloom publicly, but they don't realize that roots grow in silence. Before you can ever rise, you have to go deep. And going deep means tuning out distractions, sitting with yourself, listening to your thoughts, and doing the kind of work that doesn't show immediate results. It's not glamorous. It's not exciting. But it's necessary. Because if you don't take time to build yourself in private, you'll collapse the moment pressure shows up in public. Stillness is not laziness. Stillness is preparation, it's reflection, it's focus. And without focus, there can be no progress. The world will keep spinning, noise will keep coming. But if you let that control your mind, you'll always be chasing shadows. You'll keep starting things, but never finishing them. You'll jump from idea to idea, moment to moment, trying to feel accomplished while never becoming accomplished. That's the trap. Distraction dressed as ambition. But the quiet ones, the focused ones, they move differently. They're not impressed by attention. They're not addicted to movement for movement's sake. They understand that still water runs deep. They understand that a steady hand builds empires. They take their time, not because they're slow, but because they're precise. And when they grow for real. They don't just look successful, they become it. You can't expect real transformation if you keep avoiding the stillness that demands honesty. Because when you sit in silence, you have to face yourself. You have to confront your habits, your doubts, your excuses. That's uncomfortable. But that's also where the magic happens. That's where you begin to reshape your mind. That's where you learn the difference between being busy and being effective, between talking about success and building it. Growth is painful, but that pain is proof that you're stretching beyond your old limits. And to do that, you need focus. You need uninterrupted time with your craft, your mission, your inner world. It's not something you can fake. You can pretend to be busy all you want, but if your work isn't taking you anywhere, if you're not sharpening your tools, if you're not pushing through the resistance and silence, then all the motion is meaningless. You've got to guard your focus like it's sacred. Because it is. In a time when the world is desperate for your attention, the most powerful thing you can do is protect it. Create space for yourself, space to think, to learn, to improve, space to fail in private and rise again without judgment. That's where confidence is born, not in proving something to the world, but in proving something to yourself. It takes strength to stay quiet when everyone else is making noise. It takes discipline to work in silence while others seek recognition. But the reward is worth it, because when your time comes, and it will come, you'll be ready. You won't have to scramble to become the person the moment demands. You'll already be that person, forged in silence, sharpened by focus, rooted in growth. So slow down, go deep, turn off the noise, tune into your purpose. Stop rushing to be seen and start doing the work that truly transforms you. Give yourself permission to grow in private, to evolve without explanation, to focus so deeply that your results feel inevitable. That's the kind of power the world can't ignore. Stay silent. Focus on your work. That's where real growth begins. There's a kind of inspiration that doesn't need a stage, a microphone, or a camera. It doesn't need to be framed in a quote or posted on a feed. It's quiet, it's personal, and it's powerful. It's the kind of inspiration that comes from watching someone live with discipline, watching someone stay focused when it would have been easier to quit, watching someone show up day after day with no need for applause. That kind of life, that kind of quiet consistency speaks volumes, far more than words ever could. The truth is, most people talk too much and act too little. They speak of dreams they haven't committed to, of goals they haven't begun, of futures they haven't earned. They talk to impress, to convince, to be seen. But the world isn't changed by noise. It's changed by example. And the greatest way you can inspire others is by becoming proof that it can be done. No speech is needed. Just action, just presence, just work. When people see you stay focused, even when you could have been distracted, that's powerful. When they see you keep your head down while others chase attention, that leaves a mark. When you stay the course in silence and let your results speak for you, it does something no amount of talking ever could. It earns respect. And respect is stronger than praise. Praise is fleeting. It comes and goes with emotion. But respect, that's earned in the trenches. That's built in silence. That's forged in discipline. You don't need to tell people how hungry you are. Let them feel it in your presence. Let them see it in your work ethic. Let them notice it in how you never miss, how you never complain, how you never ask for shortcuts. That kind of quiet power doesn't need marketing. It reveals itself in time. The world doesn't need more talkers, it needs more doers. And if you really want to lead, lead by showing up. Lead by staying committed when the feeling fades. Lead by pushing forward when no one is clapping. You don't have to wear the title for people to know you're different. They'll feel it in the way you carry yourself, in the calmness of your focus, in the strength of your consistency. You'll have to understand most people are looking for someone to follow, not because they're weak, but because the world is loud and they're tired of the noise. They're tired of being told what to do by people who haven't done it. They're looking for someone who doesn't just say it, they live it. Someone whose life reflects what they preach. And if you stay silent and focus on your work, if you stay honest and disciplined, you become that person. You don't need to announce that you're a leader. If you're doing it right, people will start following your footsteps before you even say a word. And the ones who really matter, the ones who are serious about their own growth, will recognize you, not because you're shouting, but because your presence demands their attention without asking for it. Let others be the noise, you be the signal. Let others perform, you perfect your craft. Let them rush. You stay rooted. Let them chase fame. You chase purpose. And soon enough, they'll see who was really building and who was just pretending. Because in the end, everyone remembers the one who stayed consistent. Everyone remembers the one who kept going. Not the one who shouted the loudest, but the one who never flinched under pressure. The one who didn't just talk about doing the work, they became the work. And when people see that, when they see someone living proof that silent focus works, that discipline leads somewhere real, they begin to believe it's possible for them too. That's real inspiration. That's what moves people. Not a post, not a slogan, not a speech, but a life. A focused, quiet, steady life that reflects everything you once said you would do. That's when people stop listening to your words and start studying your steps. Stay silent. Focus on your work. Let your life be the loudest thing about you.